light. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kiro Show here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku has just made a public service announcement that he is going to be looking for All Might's successor. Along with that, revealing that there is an ability in the world to take quirks and to give them. So, exactly where does that leave things? Since Deku has also said that he is looking for All Might's successor, and anyone with information about the quirk must contact him, or at least try to find him. He will not make it easy, however. Now, along with that, Deku has taken this woman's quirk, who is working as a news reporter. So, Deku, he also has that, along with a vague description it gave him. And he has talked with Momo, telling her that he has a quirk that her father might find interesting. And if he does accept it, then that means that they will at least have his technology and resources at their disposal. So, let us begin. After Deku got back to base, that is what happened. And Deku is beginning to think. He needs to figure this out. It should be roughly a lot easier. But since he kinda needs to talk more about it, he needs to figure this out. And he would go to see the doctor. After going to see the doctor, he'd be talking with him, explaining that he needs to find a quirk, and that if he has any information on a good one, then he would like to see it. Deku beginning to look through some, looking through information and finding a man. Now, Deku would look through the information and find a man with telepathy, thinking that that should be good. So, exactly when is this man going to be available? The doctor just stated that the man, he is actually not a hero, before you think about it. Even then, he can't just call him in for a doctor's appointment. If he does, then that means that they will get more suspicious about me. Deku just saying, of course, but exactly where does this man live? He could be a bit more useful. The doctor telling Midoriya that the man is actually a police detective, and that he lives at this location. Finding him will be fairly easy. So, what are you going to do when you find him? Midoriya is explaining. Whenever he finds him, things are going to be getting a little more complicated. And in fact, he believes it will be perfect. As Deku would leave, his allies being left there. And before he does leave, he would brainwash Reiko, telling her to listen to whatever anyone else says, and to, in fact, follow their orders. Then basically untying her, and getting her to listen to them. Deku actually a bit excited. He is going to get a new quirk, then he is going to take down, well, probably more heroes. But now he's thinking about it. He has the Nomu's hyper generation, the shock absorption, and the super strength, so he can at least hand off the super strength to somebody. Now, he is actually thinking, as he would ask Kirishima one question. Is he perfectly fine with his quirk? Kirishima a bit confused. At this point in time, he is able to go to his unbreakable mode, due to the fact that he spends most of his time at the cage matches, using his quirk to fight. In fact, he has seen Rappa fight before. He has never faced the man, but he has seen him in battle. So, he's just thinking more about this. He'll accept the quirk. Deku just holding out his hand, and handing over to Kirishima the shock absorption. Kirishima finding this to be a bit odd and weird, because whenever he does harden his hand, it does feel a bit off, but he's not really complaining. He's guessing that that's the other quirk, right? Deku just saying yes, it is. So, have fun. Deku then leaving. And, well, heading for this man's house. It is fairly late at night. So, Deku needs to be careful. Because if he does wake the man up, then, well, it might get more and more complicated. So, now, Deku would be at the man's house, and he's waiting outside, using airjet to levitate off the ground, and his telekinesis to keep himself in the air, as he does look through different windows, seeing a lot of different people. He sees the man's wife, he sees the man, and he does actually inspect it more and more, seeing that the man actually does have children, so he will need to stay quiet. Now, Deku would do one thing, using the shadow quirk to get in. As soon as he gets in, he floats in, and levitates directly over the man, being very, very careful. He barely would make physical contact as he uses his lightspeed quirk, or overclock, using it tapping onto the man, and then taking his quirk. As soon as he's able to take the man's quirk away, he would float back out the window, and close it. Then leaving, and, well, heading for Momo Yaoyorozu's dad's house. So the mansion that he owns. Deku doing one thing on the way, testing out this little quirk, and seeing how it works. It's a bit odd and weird, but still, it's working fairly well. Deku getting to the Yaoyorozu residence, using Toru's invisibility quirk to stay hidden. As he would get into the mansion, use his creation quirk to get more clothing, because that's a problem he has. Then walking in. Now, he would pose as a guard, someone around the premises, so as to not draw suspicion, along with using info checker to see if anyone is around any corners, or even nearby. So, after that happens, Deku, he would have finally got through the entire mansion, and he would get to Mr. Yaoyorozu's bedroom. Getting there and finding him, and Momo's mother, sleeping. Deku raising Mr. Yaoyorozu out of the bed, and waiting a minute, before he does wake up. Deku using his ability, or at least his fear, and, well, not fear, he would use telekinesis to keep his mouth shut, until he does actually begin to talk with him, telling him that he's quite aware that he knows who he is, correct? Mr. Yaoyorozu basically being stuck floating in the air, directly above Midoriya. Midoriya looking at him and saying that he has a proposition, and he believes that he might like to hear it, since, well, your daughter is on my side. Mr. Yaoyorozu confused, and his eyes actually widening. Not really sure what to say. At least pointing one hand down to the ground. Deku just lowering him, saying that he's quite aware that he's a businessman. So, your quirk. It's similar to Momo's, correct? Him just nodding, until Deku does let go completely. Mr. Yaoyorozu, he's thinking now. If he yells for his guards, he won't have enough time. Not just that, this boy will probably kill him before then. So, as Deku would just say, yell for the guards, it will not end well. Just like you think, I will kill you. Mr. Yaoyorozu a bit surprised. Before Deku just says that he's kidding. Anyways, you're my allies' parents. I wouldn't expect them to harm my mother, so I want to harm their parents or their family. So, once again, I have a proposition. I can give you a quirk that would fairly benefit your business. How would you feel about being able to see into other people's heads and look for information you need to become a better businessman and run your company a bit smoother? Mr. Yaoyorozu confused, and actually somewhat asking exactly what is it he has to do in return then. He's guessing that there's a catch to it. Midori is saying that actually, there's no big catch. You won't have to give me your quirk, you won't have to do any of that. You'll just have to provide financial backing for my father. Now, he is a bit confused at what he means. Exactly why does he have to? Once again, I'm giving you a quirk that allows you to see in other people's heads. Besides, if you had this quirk before, oh well, we're born with it, then think about it. They wouldn't let you into your type of business. Well-kept secrets are usually kept inside someone's head. So, you could take those secrets and use them for yourself. Claim that you just came across them. Or, quite simply, that you thought about it. Hearing it is a rumor. The more you try and, well, believe this quirk to be its own little thing, then the better you will be at business. So, once again, Deku raising out his hand, is asking him if he has a deal. Mr. Yaoyorozu hesitantly reaching out for it, knowing that he was making a deal with the devil. And well, there's usually a catch to these. Asking Midori exactly what is the catch, there has to be one. Deku telling him no. In fact, there's no strings attached. Now, after that, Mr. Yaoyorozu takes Midori's hand. Deku using overclock and bringing up his hand, covering Mr. Yaoyorozu as he begins to give him the quirk. Unfreezing time. Mr. Yaoyorozu caught by surprise and beginning to somewhat try and scream. Deku covering it and not allowing him to, until Deku would let go. And tell him that that's done then. So, once again, I will be contacting you soon, or, well, your daughter will be. So, I believe that should be enough for now. So, as that happens, Deku would then just leave, disappearing in the shadows. Mr. Yaoyorozu is still surprised, not really believing the experience himself. The boy just snuck past his bodyguards, and, well, gave him a quirk. All just to say that his daughter will be contacting him soon. Him being left awake to think about this. Deku eventually leaving and getting back to the bar, as he begins to talk with his allies. They are all a bit more worried. Momo is a bit worried for her father, knowing that he might accept the deal. But at the same time, he might try something rash. So, what will he do? Deku eventually walking in, and saying that he sealed the deal. So, that should all be fine. Everyone's somewhat cheering, and Deku actually being a bit surprised, raising his hand up and saying that should be all then. As something a bit odd happens. A lot of the girls in the room actually do take notice of Deku, thinking that was at least a bit cool. And, well, being affected by this weird quirk Deku got from the lady. Them all actually basically standing up and walking over to him, congratulating him and telling him that was all fine. Deku a bit surprised, and, well, at least accepting their praise. A lot of the guys, though, they're still in their seats, and they are at least clapping, but at least finding this to be a bit odd. What is going on? Now, this quirk, it's a bit weird, like I said. But it doesn't do very much. Now, with that being said, Deku, he would have figured out what this quirk may be doing. Since, well, he does notice the girls somewhat paying attention to the air. The look on their faces is telling him that, as soon as he walked into the room, things began to change. So, exactly this weird quirk, he understands it now, giving it its proper name, Pheromone. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, he would begin to talk more with his allies, and try and figure this out. The girls are basically in Deku's face, talking more and more, trying to get his attention. Deku at least noticing that, and turning off this weird quirk, or at least using his deactivator to turn it off. Them all a bit confused, after Deku does so. Deku just bringing his hands up and saying that is a bit odd. Apparently, the newswoman's quirk is quite the weird one. So, apparently it will chemically alter someone's brain, or at least perceive me to be more... As Deku just looks towards the girls. Them just saying, well, all looking at each other and just thinking the same thing. Attractive. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would just sigh, and think, this quirk is going to be quite difficult then. But it does provide some useful ideas. Deku can use it to be more persuasive, so he would want to hold on to it. Along with the fact that if he mixes it with Midnight's, it can perform somewhat of a odd effect. Not really sure what that effect would be though. Would it basically make like a love potion or what? Would it make like a gas that you can stop breathing until you pass out? It's quite, well, interesting now. Then again, what about its effects with fear? That would be quite odd. I'll have to experiment with these a bit more later. But for right now, he would look around the room and instruct everyone that they have more tasks at hand though. So, as he looks around, telling everyone that they need to get things ready. Their announcement has been made, and heroes will be coming after them. So we need to find my brother. And, as you would point out to the two Todorokis, that they need to get things ready too. Both of you will be heading for another location. In fact, as Deku just brings his hands up, saying that they are going on a recruiting spree. They are all to use their quirks to fight, and talk with more villains in the underworld. So, what they plan on doing now is they are going to be splitting up. And he does have a good idea of what to do. So, I'm going to be taking our new recruits here. Deku just bring his handouts, pulling Toru and Reiko forward, saying that these two still do need to get some experience in this area. So that's what they'll be doing today, or tonight. Deku just saying that, in fact, he does have a good idea on how to do so. Reiko will need her quirk though. And as for you, Deku just looking at Toru, saying that she will need a new one too. Exactly which type of quirk would you like? Her not really saying anything. Deku just looking at her, and thinking that they'll find one on the way then. She just needs to point one out, and it will be hers. Everyone's splitting up. Deku doing one thing. He decides to head for something he knows will happen tonight. They call it a bit of a fight night. This being not in some stingy bar. Tonight, the fights will be happening in a real cage, and they might be millionaires betting on who's going to win. In fact, these are where some of the toughest quirks may lie. Gigantomachia is going to have to come with him, since once they find out who he is, he might have a bit of a bloodbath on his hands, and having the extra muscle would help, even though he's got the strength to kill All Might by his side. Now, with that being said, Deku would leave. Everyone's splitting up into teams, and going to figure this all out. The girls, however, do seem to be a bit more, well, curious about this quirk. Thinking that it is a bit odd, but at the same time, they've all kind of been thinking about this. The guy is smooth talking, nice looking, and well, he does have the ability to give and take power. So he can give them anything they want, quite literally. This being where a lot of the girls are somewhat staring at each other, wanting to say something, but not saying anything at all. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and, well, I think you all know where this is going. Now, with that being said, I do have to leave this part off here, guys. I do hope you enjoyed.